Welcome back, everyone, to Indie Music Issues. My name is Björkvin Benediktsson, the founder of Audio Issues and author of Step by Step Mixing and You Get What You Give. And Audio Issues is here to help you confidently finish your mixes so you can be proud to release your records. Today, we're going to talk about the minimum viable dose. I'm here with Ryan Watzek of Indie Music Academy. What's up, Ryan?
How's it going, guys? I'm good. Thanks for being here today. Once again, I'm Ryan from the Indie Music Academy, the channel here on YouTube where we uncover the mysteries of the music industry, learn how to grow a larger fan base, and earn an income from our music. And today, we're going to be kind of more in the growing a fan base category, I'd say. This is where this topic solidly sits. And it's this concept of minimal viable dose. That might sound like a bunch of jargon. But there's a lot of variations to this. It could be called minimal viable product. It could be called when should I release my song? Right? That's the music version. When is my song finished? So that is basically the topic, but we're going to expand the definition to talk about not just songs, but talk about anything. It could be a new product that you're launching. It could be a new series that you're trying to launch on YouTube, right? To get that engagement, get more content out there. It could be finally launching the live stream you've always wanted to start on Twitch or on TikTok. How do you know when it's ready? What is the minimal viable dose, right? The minimal effort that you can bring to the table before you know it's ready to launch. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. As always, go ahead and say hi in the chat. I'd love to know who's here with us live. This is live, by the way. We always have someone asking, is this live? And the answer is yes, this is live. So we're here for you today. This is your time to engage. I love responding to your questions. There will be a Q&A today, as usual. Yeah. So make sure you take advantage of that because as you know, and there's a wealth of information here, especially on this side of the screen. Am I doing this right? Wealth of information, and I help artists build their careers and grow their fan bases as well. So, yeah, it looks like we got John in. Welcome. Calder's in. Welcome.
Yeah, he's actually Calder's here by his real name.
That's right.
Not his brand name. Yeah, we see you, Calder. Very cool. Do you want to just get started? John Melville is here. He has a pretty cool Spotify presence. Drop your link to your artist profile there in the chat so people can take a look at it. We got Little Strings Music. Thanks for putting this on. Thanks for being here. We would be talking to each other in an empty void if it wasn't for you.
That's right. Which we do sometimes.
Yeah, we do. I mean, like the first 15 minutes of this show is really just behind the scenes. We feel so very popular in the green rooms of the StreamYard service that we're using here. Yeah. But hey, let's get into it. Ship before you're ready. It's tip number one. This, I want to, before you take it away, I just want to recommend this book. If you're ever wondering about the creative work, shipping work, things of that nature, I recommend reading The Practice by Seth Godin. He's one of the best voices in marketing and entrepreneurship that you can find. And he talks a lot about how you need to ship your work. You can always improve afterwards, or you improve on what you did after you ship it, or the thing you shipped becomes is the catalyst for a new idea that you will ship. And then sooner or later you'll have shipped so much work that you have a body of work, which is what we all strive to do. I will tell you that Step by Step Mixing is not my first book in any way. I wrote lots of ebooks and created different products and ebooks and things of that nature before hitting on something that was really resonated with my audience. And it had to do with like, all right, let's just put this out there and see if anybody buys it or see if anybody wants to read it. And that's the feedback that you need. You need to ship your work in order to get feedback from a quote unquote market, whether that is your fans, your customers, engagement from your social media audience or whatnot, your followers. And because if you don't put the work out there, you don't know if it's good enough or good enough to like move on. You don't get the feedback loop that's required for growth. So even if you're, you should ship before you're ready. If you're not in the entrepreneurial circles, a lot of they talk about you should be ashamed of your first edition or your version 1. If you're not ashamed, or if you're not like anxious about it, you're shipping too late. So
there is a level of discomfort that first time for sure. Every time you said ship, it reminded me of that commercial that's like, I just shipped my pants. Have you seen that? Oh, it's so funny. It's like on like the funniest commercials like video on YouTube.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, that word ship, that's just a fancy entrepreneur word. That's an umbrella term. So that could be literally a social media post, right? That could be the first version of shipping. Like if you have an idea for a book or an idea for a song or whatever it is, you need to test that idea. And so it doesn't mean you have to release it in its final form, but you have to release it in some form. You have to test it in some form. Just like what you said, I love that. You started with an ebook, not a physical book, right? So it's a different form, but you're still doing that valuable research, testing your idea, seeing the feedback that you're going to get. I'd love to know, drop in the chat what you're currently working on. So that we can just brainstorm, chop it up with you guys, figure out what the first shipment would be for you, right? So if I mentioned a song before, so if you're writing a song, and you guys know this, you've seen this all the time, maybe the first shipment of that song is just making a quick TikTok and saying, hey guys, I have this new song idea. What do you think? And you play just the first verse or just play a bit of the chorus, right? To get that feedback and see what's going to what's going to resonate, So Greg says, well, first of all, he says, excited for this conversation. So glad we're here covering the topics that we think are important, but obviously it's guided by your comments. So feel free to keep commenting, and glad you're here. Greg's working on some remixes, EDM style. That's awesome. Caller says, my lyric writing course. That's an interesting one. There's so many ways to ship out bits of your course before it actually launches to test the table of contents, for example. Turning it into micro content. Yeah, go ahead.
This book is, you can find almost the entire book in bits and pieces on my blog throughout the years, because it's a combination of tips, but once it becomes a book, you sort of cohesively edit it so that it flows. But it just started with me, shipping tip number 1 to tip number 400 million or whatever. And it's really just about seeing, like, I'm going to throw this out there, see if it resonates, see if it sticks, release this idea into the world, whatever idea that is in your case, and then see what the engagement is. And you don't have to necessarily always, feel like you need to release it completely to the world. You can have a beta group, like, get a feedback group together. Like my insider members, that we all get together every other week, and they bring in their music and we listen to their works in progress, and they get feedback on their mixes so that they can improve it to the point where it's ready to be released to the public. But they're still sort of shipping their work because they have sort of built-in deadlines because of the Feedback Friday coaching call, but they also have a sort of a minor group, a smaller circle of people and peers that they can ship their work to safely for sort of testing. So if you think about it from that's just really just a beta testing group or a focus group of some sort in the marketing circles, things like that. Step-by-step mixing had 10, 20 beta readers when it was just a Google Doc. So you want to just doing it alone causes causes your dark side of your brain, your shadow in the Jungian terms, to basically tell you that you don't, it might not be good enough. So if you do suffer from imposter syndrome, have somebody else give you feedback on it, because they're not attached to the art or the creative work as much as you are. And you would be amazed at what people hear and see and feel about the works that you are creating. If you think they're good enough, but you're still worried about it, show it to somebody else and get critical feedback. Maybe not to your like mom and pop and grandma and grandpa, because like they'll love you no matter what. But you know, feedback from peers, friends that are critical, that aren't just like, yeah, cool, great, dude. Do you want to, you know, let's do something else now. You want sort of critical feedback in order to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. It looks like John's been doing that, trying to write a music theory course, ship my first few PDFs.
Yeah.
Been shipping myself so far. That's awesome. So that's the
this
first
book right
tip.
here. I'm gonna try to do this.
I know
This
it's so
book right
hard.
here, that's my EQ Strategies book, which is it's a workbook plus a video course, and it started off like John's doing here. It just started off as a PDF. It was like, I think I gave the first edition away for free in exchange for people answering a survey, and then people were so into that it became like a $10 bonus to one of my other ebooks. And then I kept rewriting it. I kept adding to it, expanding it to the point where like that, the book now is, I think, version, you know, probably 4.0 or 5.0, and it just improves over time. So shipping your first few PDFs can result in you shipping your course. So good job there, John.
Tip number 1. Ready for tip number 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, tip number 2, be the builder and the seller. All right, that's the saying, be the builder and the seller. This is an idea where, well, it's really a thought to avoid, right? This is what you should avoid, right? I am the creative person, I'm the songwriter, and my song should just attract people on its own. Right.
Yeah. If you build it, they will come. The biggest lie in movie history.
That's right. That's right. Here's another version of that. I am just going to be the producer, and then I need to find someone else to take care of the business side. That's another mindset that's broken mindset. So the tip today is be the builder and the seller. Why? Well, no one is going to know your product better than you. No one's going to understand your music brand better than you. No one's going to understand your course better than you, right? People who are working on music theory course, songwriting course, no one's going to understand it better than you. Right. And no one understands who your listener, your customer, your target audience is better than you. So before you can hire an agency, before you can get outside help, before you want to hire that Facebook ads guy or whatever it might be, you need to be the seller first. And then you can add on people to help you in the selling process. But you should have that mind of knowing exactly who you're speaking to, knowing your customer avatar, fancy word. I think we talked about that a couple streams ago. And so making sure that your creativity and your sales process both exist together and really inform one another. I say it all the time that, you know, marketing is another form of creativity. I have like a whole series of emails that I sent out regarding that. So if you're on my list, you've already gotten that lesson. But the marketing side is, in my mind, just as creative as creating music, as producing, as mixing. And the reason for that, creativity is because when you're marketing, you're building relationships, and you're you're working on the other side of the coin, right? Why do we create music? Well, it's to connect with other humans. And when you're marketing, you're taking that connection and, you know, not only strategizing it, but you're turning that connection into a real thing, right? People are not usually going to connect with your song first. They're going to connect with you first as an artist, right? Through a video that they find, through a TikTok. Maybe you're performing that song live and they just love your energy in the video or on stage. So that is pretty much my mindset whenever I'm doing anything, right? If I'm writing a song, I want to know exactly what my outlets are for this song, right? Being the builder and the seller, right? No one's going to be able to sell better than me
Right.
as the artist and as the creative person. Do you agree?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, like, it's
Mhm.
also it becomes this experimental mentality and method of like, I wonder if they like this, I wonder if they'll buy this, and
Mhm.
that helps you understand your customer, your audience, your fans and followers, but it also helps you be a developer of your own creativity, of like creating something new and seeing what works, because you're not you have both sides of the coin. You're not like, oh, I'm making all these things, but I don't know what to do with them. Then you just have
Mhm.
like a hard drive full of songs, like I talk about, like a hard
Mhm.
drive graveyard. And whereas if you put things out there, and you sort of, it's not necessarily like musicians, especially creatives in general, they tend to run away when they talk, when they hear like the word sales or selling or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, but I think there is like a value exchange there. Like, what you should be giving something in return for what they're paying for, of course. And you as the creator, you also have to be the marketer. And if you can share your story to a certain extent, maybe through, like, I sell most of my products through just being myself, sharing silly
Mhm.
stories.
Mhm.
I love putting gifs in my emails. Sometimes I'm sometimes a little too personable, share, maybe too much information, but uh that's just how I've built, and that's how I've overcome this sort of salesmanship, because I don't feel like I'm selling. I'm just talking to my audience, talking to the people that are on my email list. And a lot of things, like I said earlier, is like, you want to be an experimenter too, and the only way to experiment with something that works and grows is you have to be able to build the experiment, or like build the product, and then you have to build the marketing experiment that goes with the product to, quote unquote, a marketing campaign to see if it sells, or and
Mhm.
like sells, whether that's selling via monetary transaction, or gets engagement, which is another form of like, you're getting something from another person, your audience
Mhm.
in general. So you can think about, getting a like isn't like the most valuable thing in the world. But if you get engagement, you get a comment, that's like a step above that. And then if you get them onto your email list, that's even a higher step. So like, what who was talking about, yeah, the has the PDF where, yeah. So
Mhm.
John Melville, he like shipped my first few PDFs. And what I would do is, if you're aiming to make course, make the F be like the thing you get in exchange for an email um to become an email subscriber. So that's, maybe there's a core thing there that you can give away in a PDF in exchange for an email address, and then you can build your email list so that when you have your course ready, or you already have, then at that point you're building a list of, maybe beta students or whatnot, and it just
Mhm.
helps you understand the whole process, because you need to, in our new sort of creative economy, you kind of need to understand how everything works, if only so that you can know what you are outsourcing at a later date, like we talked about in an earlier.
Totally.
um
Yeah, I love what you said about how selling is just sharing your story. And if you guys are tuning in, just letting you know, we are live. That's a question we get all the time. So we are looking at the chat. Go ahead and let me know what you are currently selling. Okay, I would love to know and get some responses. Now, like if you're a producer, for example, what does selling look like for a producer? Well, it's building relationships, right? Producers work with artists who usually, more often than not, are vibing together. They become friends. They're kind of on this same wavelength and understanding about each other's creativity, right? But if you're a producer and you're not, doing meet and greets, you're not reaching out to people, you're not trying to build friendships, that's the selling that you're missing out, right? So selling is, once again, a very umbrella term for various actions that you would do. But when you're thinking of the concept being the builder and the seller, well, if we're going to apply that to producers, that means you're the producer and you're also the friend, right? You're providing the service, but you're also finding new people to reach out to. You're also a relationship builder. And that's the selling, right? We're not talking about selling as in, it's like selling used cars or, like the scammy selling that feels icky, because that doesn't work in the music industry, right? People want to work with the people that they like, or people want to work with their friends. And so I would love to know, drop in the chat, what are you currently the builder and the seller for? What are you currently selling? Don't think of selling as an icky term, right? Don't get that broken mindset behind selling. Understand what selling means for you, and drop that in the chat. I'd love to know. But let's move on to tip number 3, which is awesome. It's be embarrassed. We kind of touched on this.
Yeah.
Be embarrassed. Do you have any embarrassing moments, Björkfinn?
Oh, so many. I mean, like, I think everything I do is kind of embarrassing. But like, one thing that well, let's like come back to me. I'd have to think about it to get
I just put you in the hot seat. So definitely, be embarrassed, right? What that's referring to is going back to tip number 1, right? About having your product shipped before you're ready, right? And so if you're shipping before you're ready, then that moment is probably going to be embarrassing. So what that means is building out some kind of test, some kind of feedback group. If you're a songwriter and you're working on your album, you should get together a core group of people to play back your tracks to, probably in the middle of production, right? So you'd say something like, like the drums aren't done yet, or I'm still, still working on the auto tune, or still, time aligning things, but I want to show you what I have so far, right? And it's creating that embarrassing moment that it might feel embarrassing to you, but I guarantee you no one is actually laughing at you, because they just want your best interest. But that embarrassing moment has a lot of value. There's a lot of value for understanding what the next moves are that you need to make, right? Maybe a second set of eyes is going to point you in the right direction when you were maybe going into a direction that you shouldn't have. Like,
yeah,
like
little strings music
solo was not a good idea, or something like that.
Right. Yeah, this comment is great. It reminds me kind of so she says, like, I turn my embarrassing moments into songs. And that's like what I do. Like anytime something dumb or embarrassing happens to me, I make a note of it, because I can probably put that into a blog post. I mean, like, I've certainly done, said dumb things about audio that were maybe factually incorrect or whatever, and then you just either ignore it and correct it later, or now and then you move forward. And so it's the embarrassing moments actually just are sort of like these fun little things, these anecdotes that you can make up that can really just go into your marketing.
Seriously. And this actually really runs into tip number 4 too, which is find early adopters. So tip number 3 was be embarrassed. Tip number 4, find early adopters. And it's pretty much exactly what I said in regards to the songwriting. Your early adopters would be that early listening group, right? Maybe those people are hand selected by you to be early receivers of your album, right? If you're working on a course, it's just like what you said, find that early group that's going to read the Google Doc version right before you film all of the videos, right? Find those early adopters who, once again, it might be embarrassing, but that feedback is so much more valuable in the long run. So definitely do that. Definitely don't be afraid of embarrassment. Find your early adopter people. Then we can move into tip number 5, which is finding a different group of people, which are your MVPs. Want to speak to that?
So minimum viable product, or are you talking about most valuable people?
You tell me.
Well, so if you want to talk about early adopters, and you want so like we can talk about like the most valuable players can be your early adopters, because they are the people that give you feedback in order to get something out that then becomes your MVP, which is your minimum viable product, right?
Wow, that's funny how that works out.
right. Yeah, I'm very quick on my feet here.
Find your MVPs to get your MVP.
Yeah, exactly.
That's confusing, but awesome.
and so like, so you get so basically your minimum viable product is whatever you make that is that has flaws but is ready to be consumed in some way, right? It's your PDF that is for sale. It's your it's your beta version of the course. It's the first module of a course that then you get feedback on and you make bigger and better. Like the minimum viable products on the audio issues product history was my mixing strategies ebook, which is a precursor to step-by-step mixing, and something I took off the market quite a few years ago because it just like wasn't good enough, and I'd rather people buy the step-by-step mixing book because it's more comprehensive and it was equally it was probably even cheaper than the other book used to be. But that was just and going back to sort of being the experimenter and putting up what if scenarios in your mind of what the reason I bought that or I made that book. And the book originally was only 8,000 words, which is a very short ebook, but still enough to give some value away.
That's just one of my emails.
It's a long email. But basically what I thought, I was writing for a publication at the time, and then they would take, because they owned the rights to all the writing that I did, they would take those long tutorials, package them into tiny little ebooks for $9, or that you got access to for $9. You could either pay like one-off fees of $9, or you can get like a membership $9 a month, and you got access to all of it, and no additional revenue to me for however many people they got signed up. But that wasn't the point, because what I learned from that was, I see that they're selling my stuff here for $9. I wonder if and people are buying it because I could see it. Maybe I did get some royalties from it, like $1 per sale or something like that. But what I noticed is like, okay, people are buying this highly specific, one article that's just about, one thing, like a kick drum trick or something like that. And I thought, well, if they're paying $9, if like these random people are paying $9 for one article, I can put together an ebook pretty easily and test that out with my audience and sell that for $9 and see if I get any takers, get any buyers, get any customers from that. And that totally worked. And that was like the first time that I had like a product that actually was selling. And I was floored. I was making like, I think it was like $250 in a day. And I was just like, this is amazing that, people are buying this knowledge that I put together. And that sort of opened up my eyes to what the future of Audio Issues became, which is basically just an audio education company in general.
Yeah. So without that first minimal viable product, you never would have known if Audio Issues was going to be a thing that worked out.
Right. Yeah. If I hadn't shipped it, if I hadn't been like, all right, this is good enough. Like I can't write, like I don't have it in me to write a 35,000 word book, which is what step-by-step mixing sort of is the length of. But I can do this. I can do this minimum viable thing, even though it's maybe a little bit embarrassing and it doesn't like cover everything that I should possibly cover. But let's test it out anyway and see if we get any bites or get any interest, and totally work. So
awesome. Yeah, you basically outlined our 6th tip, which is ship early, improve on what works, get feedback and fix it. And that's exactly what you did for that ebook. That's awesome. So we can jump right into tip number 7, which is more of just a encouraging charge for everyone listening.
Yeah, this is definitely taken from You Get What You Give. I think it's in the book there somewhere. And it's good enough is good enough until you're good enough to be better. So if you strive for 80% today and you keep shipping 80% work continuously and consistently for a year, that 80% in a year is going to be way better than the 80% is today. But if you don't ship any of the work and don't improve on what works,
Mhm.
and you don't accept the fact that it's good enough and ready to roll, then you're going to stunt your creative growth, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes back to the 80-20 rule, which we talked about, I think, 3 or 4 streams ago.
Yeah.
And it's not, well, basically the whole idea is you don't want to shoot for 100% perfection. It's actually a big waste of time because 80% is probably going to be good enough. And if your 80% isn't good enough, there's still growth that needs to happen. Right. So that's the 80-20 rule applied to shipping. So if let's take songwriting is the perfect example, right? Because I was this way. I still am. I was very much so. I still am like this, where I'm like trying to make the song so perfect, and I like sit and not release a song, keep tweaking one word here and one word there, when it's really like, yo, you're not going to learn unless if you launch, right? That's a popular saying, right? So you're not going to learn unless if you finish and release. And, that one word that's holding you back, it's really keeping you from learning everything else that comes after, right? Releasing, marketing, engaging, doing things like, live streaming song launches and stuff that I encourage my members to do to get engagement around that song. But all of that is completely off the table if you don't finish writing that song when it's like kind of 80% good in your mind. Because to someone else, they're not going to know. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, Ryan, you really dropped the ball in that last 20% there. Like those lyrics are, no one's going to know. It's all right here. Yeah. Right. So the 80% only exists here. So if you decide, hey, I know this is kind of at 80%, I'm going to launch it anyways. And you do that continuously, just as you said, Björkfin, over a year of doing that, over a year of following through, a year of finishing instead of a year of tweaking. You see the difference. Your 80% is going to be so much better. Right. And that's especially true for songwriting. Definitely. And that's something that I really try to force myself into that mindset when it comes to lyric writing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like that's in my writing, it's all just about, figuring. Well, it's actually, I would say that the email list and the blog posts is the testing ground for what then becomes the work, which like in my case, it's usually a book or a course or a bigger message in some way. But testing things out and finding, what is good enough, and then putting that out there, getting feedback, and then you do that enough times, you have enough, ideas that you've tested out that you can then possibly put into a greater work. It's kind of like, we talked about like my friend Joe wrote 50 songs in order to be able to pick the 10 best to put on an album. And it's similar to how like a stand-up comedian, he'll do, a 5-minute set, which is actually a fairly long time in stand-up. To be funny for 5 minutes is actually much, much harder than you think. And I've done some stand-up comedy in the past, and it is very difficult. And very, very, very interesting arena to shop your ideas in, and also to get it'll definitely get you out of your comfort zone very, very fast.
Is there a YouTube video I can watch?
No, luckily not. But what I'm trying to, my point here is like the methodology of a stand-up comedian. It's like you have a bunch of jokes. You have no idea if they actually work. You may think they're funny, but maybe you're not going to be able to deliver them correctly. Maybe it's the wrong crowd, whatever. So let's say you have 5 jokes and 2 of them land and in your 5 minutes, let's say that joke a minute. and then you reevaluate. You're like, all right, like these are great jokes. Let's put one at the beginning and one at the end. So now you start strong, you end strong, and then now you have to fill out, 3 good jokes. You come back the next week because you need to consistently do the work in order to grow. You come back with 3 new jokes, and they still laugh at the starter and the closer, or the opening bit and the closing bit, and now they laughed at the middle joke. But now joke number 2 and joke number 4, you throw them away or you rework them, and then you bring them in until you have a solid 5-minute 5-joke set or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how you grow. It's how you build a creative set that works.
Yeah.
The same for musicians.
Yeah.
You just basically you fall until you fall on your face at the stand-up club or at the comedy club until you get people to laugh.
Yeah, be embarrassed.
Yeah, be embarrassed. Yeah.
Awesome.
So those are our 7 tips for for shipping your work, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say
for creating a minimum viable creative career, I suppose.
Yeah, it's also a great process for workshopping your ideas in general, but not just stopping at that workshopping, right? That next step of actually shipping. So workshopping and shipping your minimal viable product. Awesome. Well, I would love to invite everyone watching. Thank you for being here live, by the way. I would love to invite everyone watching to drop your questions in the comments. We love to go off topic. So you can drop a question about anything. This is your time. We'll do a Q&A for about 15 minutes. We love doing that. We also love keeping the stream to about an hour. So just get your questions in quick. We'd love to dive into whatever you want to talk about, music related. We are both experienced mix engineers, so you can ask your mixing questions. I'm a producer, songwriter. Björkfinn is a writer, content creator, product creator, overall excellent business person. So we're here for you. Whatever you want to talk about. A lot of you are starting your own online businesses. We both have online businesses. We're both musicians. So if that combo of weird, interesting traits, is helpful, we're here for you.
Yeah. So one thing that came to mind when I was thinking about like the workshopping and like you kind of have to fall until you succeed, and it reminded me of how I learned to snowboard, and it can be summed up very easily. And it's basically I fell down a mountain for an entire day until I could ride a snowboard down the mountain.
That's right.
Just like completely falling, flat on my face over and over and over again until I could actually stand up and have the balance to do that. In the same way I really like this exercise called slacklining, which is kind of like walking a tightrope on a slack line. You just put them in between 2 trees and you balance on them. It's good core exercise, but it's incredibly difficult if you don't have those tiny little muscles in your core and in your knees or in your legs to sort of balance you out. So you will fail 100 times before you get up even once. And that's just really how a lot of things that are worth doing will end up being like that. Everything, things that are easy are usually not worthwhile in a really great creative way. It usually takes some hard work.
I gotta try snowboarding though. That sounds fun.
You've never snowboarded?
I've never done it. I know. It sounds fun. I mean, I do want to fall down a mountain all day.
Yeah. Sterling Smith asks, what is better to base business on, online music sales or something like a Patreon? So you want to go?
Yeah, I don't know if it's easy to say one is better than the other. I'd love to ask a follow-up question. Are you, an artist? right? So a lot of your product, right? A lot of your offering is going to be based around your creativity, your content, you as a personal brand. Or are you a service provider, a producer, a mix engineer, right? Even a songwriter can be a service provider, because I think that is the distinction. And based off of what you offer, then you can start making decisions on, okay, well, I'm a service provider, so having a Patreon doesn't really make as much sense. Whereas on the other hand, I'm more of a creative person, artist. I'm going to release songs. I'm going to create content. I'm going to build a personal brand. Then a Patreon makes more sense in my mind. So I'd love to know that answer. Oh, he's already back. Here we go. Producer, artist, film scoring. So it looks like you do a little bit of it all.
Yep.
So yeah, I think what I'd have to say then is probably just, find a whiteboard or a piece of paper, make, like a list of everything that you do. And then also write Patreon and write, I guess the other alternative would be like direct services, right? Patreon direct services. And then start making associations, right? And whichever one has the most associations is probably the one that you can pull off sooner, right? So if film scoring, producer, I'm assuming you can mix, I'm assuming you could write and help other artists. That's all in the services category. So just from my limited knowledge, it seems like being a service provider might be the first step, unless if your heart's not into that and you absolutely want to become an artist and forget about the rest, then it seems like you'd have to actively choose that path instead. So that's my thought. Hopefully that helps.
And like the wording of the question makes it feel like it's an either or sort of thing, when and that it's either or only these two things, when in fact it's this, that, and the other thing, and the thing after that, and it's about like diversifying your income streams, having multiple streams of income. You could do, you can be a service provider where you have clients that you work with. You can you just think about all the different types of products that people buy. They buy results. So what can you make that helps people get results that they want? You mentioned film scoring. Do you have any specific presets or any patches based on some of the plugins or software synths or anything like that you're using that you can sell as sample packs or preset packs or anything like that? Can you teach the basics of film scoring in general? Then you have the music sales, and then you have like maybe sync licensing of your music, and then you could have, if you're an artist on top of that, or you have a support community through a Patreon where somebody's paying you maybe $3, $5, $7 a month just for access to you, or access to maybe some exclusive things that you're working on. So it's about finding as diverse a product suite as you can, I guess. I mean, not all at once, because then you're gonna feel too scattered. But like, if you think of everything in like quarters or 90 days, like if there's a 90-day cycle that just constantly, you go through a 90-day cycle, what's like one product or service that you can do research for, develop, and launch, release, ship in a 90-day cycle, and then repeat, and then find another thing to do until, and some of them may not be successful. You might have some failures. I've certainly have some product failures in the past, but what it does teach you is that sort of customer development, product development, launch sequence cycle that helps you sort of understand the business, the act of making the business work. I hope that made sense.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. John asked, what would be the best way for me to get more people to find my free PDF mailing list sign up? I'm just not getting many views on YouTube at the moment. Okay. So I kind of want to dig into that. It's an interesting question. So where are they finding the free PDF mailing list sign up? I'm assuming that you have some form of a hub, a website of some sort. So, and then you seem to have a channel, which is your YouTube channel. So are you telling people about it everywhere possible. Like on my website, I offer my lead, my PDF, free PDFs at the top of the site, at the bottom of every post, in the sidebar. There's some sort of, some slide or pop-up things that some people hate and like don't like, but the fact is that they work, and people do actually sign up to the email list through the pop-up. So like if you're the person that, I've gotten emails in the past that people hate the pop-up and people hate pop-ups, but the thing is that people don't hate pop-ups. People hate pop-ups of things that they're not interested in. But if the pop-up is advertising something that you're interested in learning more about, you will click on the pop-up and possibly download the PDF, because it is of a topic and a subject matter that you are actually interested in knowing more about. So on YouTube, are you talking about the PDF at the beginning of every video, or is it in the description of every video? And things like that? Is it do you have a landing page built for the PDF that's follows typical landing page conversion best practices, which is, a landing page is designed to do one thing, to get an email address so that you can send them a PDF, send them the PDF. It's not supposed to be also your website navigation and a video on something irrelevant and, a bunch of blog posts underneath. It's supposed to do one action. So you want to think about, what do I want people to do when they're on this page, and what is the conversion rate on the page? I know for a fact that like almost every single one of my pages that have some form of freebie, which is, a free PDF or a cheat sheet or a checklist or all these sorts of things that I've created throughout in the past, they all convert at 50% or more. And that means that out of 100 people that access that website, I'll get 50 email subscribers onto my list, and I can share my story further, share the topics that I know that they're interested in, because they signed up for the checklist or the lead magnet that is about a specific topic. Then I know that they might want more about that topic. And so how many times are you telling people about the lead magnet? I'm guessing is the question here. And where are you getting your traffic from? And are you running any paid ads? And what is your content marketing strategy? Would be my questions to ask.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any more questions here? Let's dive into some mixing here. I co-write with a friend in another country. He's recorded his instrumental parts for me to sing over, which I need to do professionally before mixing and mastering. Would producers mind this method? I don't think so. I mean, I guess I'm not entirely sure. What do you think they mind? What are they? What do you think they would mind about it? Because to me, it seems like you between the two of us, you're doing everything yourselves, right? It's like
this doesn't seem weird to me.
No, I don't. Yeah. No, not at all. If I were like to help mix a song or something like that, I would basically just be happy if, like, I mean, this is basically what happened with two insider members of mine. They met in the insiders group, the Audio Issues Insiders Academy group, and started, and they sending stems, from, between, Woodstock and with the finished product. Then they actually mixed, and they got feedback on the mixes from me. But if you would give that a producer after that, or a mixing engineer after that, I don't think they would mind, as long as the tracks are good and the songs are solid. Oh, that instruments are already pre-recorded. Oh, I don't think so. It depends on
what every rap artist does.
Yeah,
so every beat is pre-recorded. They just lay the vocals on top. It's totally normal to have basically a completed track, and then you just add your element to it. So you'd add your voice, yeah, and then send it off to get mixed and mastered. Totally normal.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, so John says has a landing page, also a website. Probably need to tell more people. Yeah, so like this is probably a good time to say that if you want my mix finisher cheat sheet that helps you give you the 7-step process to confidently finish your mixes so you can be proud to release your records, go to mixfinisher.com and download it there, and then that will give you a pretty good foolproof process to follow for mix translation in particular. So talking about your lead magnet because you believe that it helps. It might not be like a comprehensive course that you're giving away for free, but if you can give people a small nugget of information that can help them take the next step in their journey, and then maybe that in that journey with you is something you shouldn't keep to yourself.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I can share my lead magnet.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, because I believe in it. So, yeah. So just to give you a little information, my lead magnet is an actual 3-video workshop on introduction to music marketing. So, I believe in it. I worked really hard on those videos, and so yeah, just like what Björkman said, I have no problem saying like, hey, I think you'll really enjoy this workshop. If we've had a conversation or they read a blog post about, growing fan base or just understanding the music business in general, right? The lead magnet is like the next logical step. It's like, well, if you enjoyed this blog post or you enjoyed this video, or if you're enjoying this live stream, the next logical step would be, hey, check out the free workshop. It's going to be delivered straight to your inbox. So trade you an email for the workshop so I know where to send it. And it's just as simple as that. And the beauty of it all is that if they don't like it, they can unsubscribe.
Oh, we lost Ryan. All right. Well, I think I can finish up for Amir. Yeah, they can always unsubscribe because there's an unsubscribe link at the bottom of every email, and therefore all the power is in the subscriber. And but I usually treat my subscribers as friends, and that I'm hopefully trying to help. Sometimes I'm trying to help them by I'm just sharing stories. Unfortunately, can't beer with 50,000 subscribers at the same time, but story. I should probably put like a beer. That's sort of a mini Patreon thing if they want to buy me a beer. Put like a tip thing. I've never done the tip thing because I want to give something in return for their cash.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot where it's like buy me a coffee, especially people on Twitch. Yeah, I've never done that either. I mean, that'd be something to workshop.
Yeah. What if we put
the early adopters?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Would that be a good idea? Would you buy us a coffee or a beer? Probably not. It's okay.
Well, if you want to buy us coffee or beer, we could set up a thing, maybe one at a later live stream. We might be able to put a goodie bag together for them too.
Goodie bag.
Yeah.
Love goodies.
Yeah. Very cool. So, well, let's ask this question. If there's anything in particular, if we had a joint lead magnet or a joint workshop or anything like that, that would be a way for you guys to support like the podcast or the live stream, whatever you want to call it. What would you want? What would you want to learn more about? Like what do you think we can help you out with? It maybe in more detail that doesn't necessarily lend itself to the sort of live stream thing. Pop that in the chat. We'd love to check that out and see if we can do anything along those lines, or that might also just give us topics for future live streams in general, because we are here to hang out, hopefully serve you, and so that you can grow in your musical career, whatever that may be, whether you are a musician, producer, mixing engineer, audio engineer in any way, helping clients or making your own music. We just want to see you succeed, honestly. Yeah. John would buy us a beer. Yeah.
Hey.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate that.
Thanks for that, John. Well, cool. We're almost at the hour mark, so I think let us know what you guys want to talk, what you want to hear from us next. We are going to be talking about the power of mindsets next week, and
good.
how to sort of, we will talk about, how to have a return on investment mindset, what you can leverage, the course
Powerful
collector
word.
mentality. Yeah, that's a good one. And sort of the growth versus fixed mindset that you may have heard about in the past. But we love talking about this, and it's something that I will certainly be using in my parenting, in the future, because when somebody says I can't do this, that's the fixed mindset, right? But if you say, so you can twist that entire thing around just by adding one word, and it's the word yet. I can't do this yet. And that just means that I don't know exactly what to do now, but I'm determined to figure it out. And then I haven't figured it out yet, but I will. As opposed to, I don't know how to do this, I'm going to give up. That's the sort of fixed mindset, but the yet builds the growth mindset. So we'll talk about that next week. Just a little teaser for you. But thank you all for coming. And if you want more from me, go to mixfinisher.com. You can find links to the books below, step-by-step mixing.com and yougetwhatyougive.com. Oh, no, yougetwhatyougivebook.com. Better make that true, or make that accurate. And I hope to see you on the next live stream, and let me know what we can do to help.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you want to hear more from me, I do have that workshop that I mentioned earlier. It's in the description below. It's just indiemusicacademy.com/workshop. 3 videos sent straight to your inbox for 3 days, and other really cool stories and goodies about music marketing. And if you are interested in just diving completely all the way into the world of the music business, I have a course called 80/20 Music Business, which is an intense music business crash course. It lasts for 30 days. So just know that going in. And that is also linked in the description below, where you can just learn more about what you'll learn and the whole crash course experience. So check both those things out. And thank you for tuning in today. We both appreciate it. And we'll see you next week on Tuesday, same time, same place.
All right. Take it easy, guys. See you later. Bye. See you.